Shortwave listening, where to begin? First of all, obviously you'll need a receiver. You can buy these small transistor or solid state receivers. If you do that, there are a vast range to choose from. Make sure that you've got an aerial socket on it or some means of connecting an external aerial. I've got a little Grundig one, I'll show you later. A little Grundig one, telescopic aerial. There's no socket for an aerial. What I have to do is get an aerial croc clip it to the telescopic aerial, and you connect the aerial that way, which isn't the best way to do it. Communications receivers, I prefer the old, probably early 60s or round about 1960s valve ones, Eddystone, Marconi CR100, that's the 40s, 1940s. There are a lot of valve ones around. Lafayette, I think they're 60s, aren't they? The Lafayette receivers. There are so many to choose from. It's really difficult. I can't recommend any one. What I do is, for my main shortwave listening, I use amateur radio gear. I'm a licensed amateur, so I use my transceiver. This what is it? A Kenwood TS570D. I forget the model number. That's it. Now that will receive and transmit, but we're not interested in transmitting illegally, are we? No. What am I saying? That will receive from kind of long wave right the way up to 30 megs. So you've got the entire shortwave band, FM, sideband and AM. So that's really the sort of thing I think that if you want to get into this seriously, look for that sort of thing. I mean, Kenwood and other manufacturers do make receivers only. You don't have to have the transmitter with it. So have a look at that sort of thing. Here is a station. This is, what is it, Radio Channel something or other, that I was listening to at the weekend on 6070 kilohertz. Have a quick look at this. That's Radio Channel 292 on 6070 kilohertz shortwave. This isn't going to be all about pirate stations. It's just that I happened to be listening at the weekend to that one. Thought I'd show you a clip. In the old days, when I was a boy in the 50s and 60s, there was no digital readout. You didn't have that sort of thing. You've got on the dial, for example, my Marconi CR100, it'll say 5 megs. I can't remember exactly. There are no increments, 5 megs, then a line, then 6 megs. The line's 5.5 megs. There's nothing in between. If someone's on, say, 5.137, well, you've got to guess. You've got 5 or 5.5. You've got to guess that 5.137 is there. So the fun was, these days you tune into a station. Oh, that's on 17259. You put that in your computer, up it comes, radio so-and-so, transmitter power, map reference, blah, 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 all about it. In some ways that spoils the fun. When I used to listen around, especially when I was a boy, early teens, I tune into a station, oh, what's this? There was things like Shortwave magazine you could buy that had stuff in, but you didn't know what frequency you were on. You didn't know what you were listening to. What you had to do was wait till on the hour or the half hour on your clock. You'd look at the clock, and on the hour, for example, that's when stations usually start, or if they're already running, they'll do their ident before the news or whatever. Here's a quick example of an ident coming up. I think that was Radio China International or something. I can't remember now. It's not important. But you'd listen for ages. Yeah, that's the only time you get the station. Of course, then as with that one, if they're not speaking English, you still don't know what station it is. It's only if you're listening to Radio Romania or the Voice of America or whatever, or Moscow, then you know what it is. But yeah, that was part of the fun. I used to spend hours, pen and paper at the ready. Then on the hour, what would happen, which was so frustrating, top of the hour, the ident thing, the little tune would play, like for Moscow, it was the Kremlin bells and stuff. It was all exciting. And you get the announcer say, "Hello, you're listening to radio transmitting on so-and-so frequency." It'll fade it away just as they said the station name. So you think, oh no, pulling your hair out, And of course in those days, in the 60s, you had lots of hair to pull out. Happy days. So, yeah, this is just an introduction, a very brief video as to what's going on. You saw that was my Kenwood transceiver there. So I know where I am, and in fact what I've been doing is totally cheating, looking up on the internet to see what stations there are, where they're from, when they're transmitting, and it'll say, for example, 15245. I tune into that spot on frequency, top of the hour, there it is, up it comes. So that's cheating. So anyway, I'm not going to go on much more about this, but there's aerials, Earth connection, the type of radio you want, what you're listening to, when and where, the different broadcast bands. So yeah, this is just an introduction to shortwave listening. I will be, hopefully, as time passes, I will be adding a lot more information and little video clips of things I've heard. So right, I hope that's inspired you to get some sort of receiver. It's the old vintage valve radios, the sort that we do. I mean, they're okay, but they're not the best. You really want something, as I said, either a little transistor, solid state thing, which I don't like, or a half decent communications receiver. But we'll talk more about that at another time. Thanks for watching, and as I say, I hope I've inspired you to listen around your shortwaves.